Hello and welcome to the AI Revolution call. I'm Cody Willard. Bryce Smith works with me. John Deo, AI legend, 50 years in the industry.
Not even 50 years alive. Okay, that's not true.
Yeah, no. More than 50 years alive, but about 30 years in the industry, if I've got my math right. So it's a long time. Trailblazer, as I like to call them. Bryce and I, John, we've got first of all, does everybody like to say hi to Jim? Hi, Jim. Come here. Just say hi, Jim. She's a good boy.
Oh,
He's a hedge fund dog. Works at the office about 3 days a week with me. Anyway, look, we're finishing up the AI Revolution book, the ultimate AI book, I think is what we're calling it, to follow up on our bestseller, The Ultimate Tesla book. And it's been really interesting. You know, last week, or the last time we did this call, at least, we went over the top 5 biggest misunderstandings in the AI revolution. And I still think by far the number one thing that stands out to me, 2 things stand out to me with the AI revolution right now. Number one, people, it's still so new to most people. The average American still, has used it maybe once or has seen someone do it, but it's not integral to people's lives yet. And I think most people, and certainly most investors, are doubting just how big an impact it's going to have on society and the economy. And as part of that, it's complete consensus that it's going to destroy jobs and that unemployment is about to skyrocket in the US and around the world. And I'll take the other side of both that. It's actually going to be huge. It's probably going to impact GDP at least 1% this year. And there's going to be like 3 to 4% unemployment for the next 3 to 5 years in the US as everybody starts using AI to provide more services to more people more often, not less. Thoughts, feedback?
Yeah, I think I'm surprised when I talk to ordinary people, that aren't necessarily in tech or finance or something, like where, they're seeing this stuff every day, and how little they still use, AI. So some of them use it at work, some using it for personal reasons, but it's not as integral to their lives as like Google or something like that is yet. Most people think of it as kind of like still like a nifty tool or like a fun thing that you go play with to make cool pictures or something every now and then. But I don't think most people understand that we're potentially considering computers being able to do like all cognitive work, at least a very basic level, and maybe soon an advanced level.
John?
I definitely agree on the GDP one. And on the job one, I think there's definitely going to be disruption. And disruption probably results first in job loss. At some point, I think there are jobs picking back up because there's just more money coming into new businesses, and those new businesses not entirely to be out of the gate. Oh, I'll just do everything with AI. Certainly more gets done with AI, but when more gets done with AI, I think mostly it opens up more opportunities for what can be done. But then you fall back to, okay, we need people to interact with people and things like that. And you don't instantly have all of the tools that are possible with AI, but not that you like instantly get in your business. And the business is interested in instantly having its effect on the market. So I agree with both of them.
Yeah. I think the thing that we always come back to is it's like the amount of software code that's out there right now seems amazing. Like there's so much code in the world, and the world, software has been eating the world for decades. And it's just that, like the other day, Bryce was putting together a presentation for our Value conference that we're going to go present, and we're going to tell them about why we like Google here, and in large part because the bear case on Google is that AI is going to kill it, and in our vision, the bull case on Google is that AI is going to kill it, and it's going to actually benefit Google. That's always our favorite setup, is when people think, when we disagree, when we see the same revolution, but we disagree on how it's going to impact things. And I think that's also what's interesting with the job stuff here, is the amount of Bryce the other day is like, hey, you know what? I was just figured I should ask Gemini, Google's AI, to help me make an interactive page about why we like Google as an investment here. And Bryce, pull it up real quick as I'm talking. And you can't believe, like, this is what we mean. You'll never think of all the places and services and reasons to use AI in your life, and what you'll be doing with it as it gets ever more efficient and ever better and ever smarter and easier to get to. I mean, even right now you ask Apple Siri and it's still complicated to get to ChatGPT, but in a year from now, you'll just be talking to your phone and or your Ray-Ban glasses. I have them in there. They're over there. And it's real-time interaction. It's coming. Bryce, can you share it?
Yeah, I guess it's loading. I don't know if my internet's slow today, but like a lot of my browser stuff has not been working well today.
I did have a weird browser thing happen today. I was like,
chat wasn't working, Gemini wasn't working. I've been switching around trying to get things to work. It's really weird. Now this thing is just not
Cody,
working.
to what you're saying while he's pulling that up, we're basically going to have each person will either have a new tail to wag or a new tail that wags them. And a lot of people will have a new tail that wags them. So it's the people who, like you guys, are doing, like, what new thing can we go and make with this that are really, heading in the right direction with this. And not everyone thinks that way.
But they will. I mean, that is the thing, that over
They'll have
time,
the opportunity to.
There are millions of people who've come up with brilliant apps for smartphones. And here we are now 17 years or 16 years into the smartphone revolution. And there are still new great app ideas being built all the time. And what this AI enables, one of the many things that AI enables is instant building with very little code to make that app work, to build a web page that shows why Cody Willard and Bryce Smith think that Google's a good investment here on AI. So walk them through it briefly, Bryce.
So what my idea was is I wanted to write this article about like the stacks, like Google's vertically integrated, right? They've got all the pieces of AI from the custom silicon chip layer all the way through to distribution, Android operating system, Google search, billions of people use it every day. And so I start piecing together this article and I'm like, it'd be so much better if I could show this visually. And so I go to Google AI Studio and you can actually build interactive web apps on the studio. And so I just start talking to it and I start I give it the thesis, I give it our points with, my notes on why I think each one of these is an advantage or whatever. But then I built like this interactive website. I integrated YouTube videos for each topic showing, here's the introduction on the Google Cloud Platform. Here's these are from my notes, right? Like what we like about it. And then it automatically, it was like, you can integrate Gemini into this. And so I prompted the Gemini. I said, use Cody's voice because Cody's got a lot of content on the internet. So it knows how Cody talks. And so each one of these gives you like, Cody decodes a text. So this will have Gemini in Cody's voice break down Google Cloud Platform.
Yo, what's up?
The voice.
Yeah.
So here it is. All right, Cody, you read it. Read it in your voice.
All right, let's laser in on GCP because this is Google's engine for enterprise AI adoption, period. It's the most comprehensive platform. It's the comprehensive platform giving businesses everything they need, from Vertex AI's end-to-end MLOps pipeline to access to those critical TPUs and GPUs for the heavy lifting, right down to ready-to-go pre-trained APIs. This is precisely how Google is getting paid for its AI muscle, and that 40x increase in Gemini adoption via GCP reported at I/O 2025. That's the hard data confirming this platform is where Google monetizes enterprise AI big time. It felt like I was reading a teleprompter.
Pretty much how you would say it.
I think that's pretty close to your voice, especially when you read it.
You know, with the way things work, I almost thought you were going to have it actually do it in his voice, you know.
And actually,
I
was reading that, I was thinking if we channeled a little bit more of Bryce's time, or if we had one more person to help us do this, we could integrate like that Cody clone that we built at wherever website we built that Cody clone a couple months ago. And it could be in here and actually have my face and voice seemingly read that to you.
It's literally getting to where it could be just like you talking.
But isn't that an interesting point? We need another person if we're going to do that.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Bryce does not have bandwidth. I don't have the bandwidth. We don't have the time to channel towards making that clone integrated in this website. But it would be very easy to do for someone who had an extra 3 or 4 hours. And, you know, like
this, the technology created the opportunity. The opportunity still needed some hands to get involved. So, you know,
exactly.
you're laying off. You're not laying
exactly.
Yeah.
We need more people to help us, not fewer, even though AI has made us 10 times more productive.
This is a good one-liner from Cody's AI brain. Old Google was a glorified librarian. I like that.
That's right. Yeah, basically had a what's the thing that you use at the library to find it?
Where you catalog?
Dewey Decimal System?
Dewey Decimal. Basically it's
a catalog. Yeah, the old school
system.
Go looking it up kind of thing.
Yeah. What was really mind blowing for me making this, John, is, you know, I'm not a coder. I don't know how to code. I don't know how to run databases. I don't know how to run cloud infrastructure, right? None of that. But when I built this on the Google AI Studio, if anybody's, I can kind of show you guys what this looks like because I'm in Studio here, right? So here's your chat. This is your interface, right? I talk to the Gemini directly. Now, you know, I can say change the color to blue or whatever, right? And it will start running code. And here's where all the files are, right? And start changing these files to make the background blue. And I've heard about vibe coding. And I knew what the concept meant. But what it really showed me is that, like, this AI just gets rid of, it's a higher level of abstraction. It gets rid of all these things. So it just unlocks like my creativity as a human to build a website, knowing nothing about code or the cloud. Right? And then you click this button and you deploy it to the cloud, and I can run it instantly, get a URL. It integrates all of the API keys, which I don't know how to do.
And Bryce, to put it, you can literally, it gives you iframe code to put it on tradingwithcody.com.
Yeah, I can do it that way. Or just integrate the URL from the app, you know, from the cloud run. It just gives you the URL right here. And I think, you know, this is, you know, a lot of this is unique to Google because they're one of the, again, going back to this stack, right? Like they have everything from the models themselves to the cloud sitting there ready to deploy it. I don't know that other companies can roll this out, but it is like it's unlock. I think AI is going to unlock so much creativity from humans that formerly didn't know how to code, and now you can just make cool things with computers.
So like, first of all, this is great, good job, and it does take you, you know, seeking out what's the tool and how I'm going to go do it, and it has to have, you know, start with your idea of what kind of thing you would go put there and everything. I tried to use it for something and it was not successful because what I was making was too complex for what it could handle. Like, so it's better. And that had to do with integrating with a backend graph database and some things like this, that it's made to do more easily the things that there are lots of out there.
Well, and also starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Like instead of trying to integrate an existing database,
I was even starting from scratch, but integrating the technology. So like, I wasn't saying that here's this thing out there, go work with the thing. It was the technology stuff. Yeah. This is like, if you're completely from scratch and it's like, okay, well, I know what I have available to me and I'll go make a thing for you. But there's certain kind of set of things it can make and other set of things that it can't make. And yet most business people who are looking to, put up a website, use it to communicate with others, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's good. It's good for it.
It's crazy. Have you guys heard of Nunchuck Tyler? Bryce has.
I have because of you.
Yeah.
No, is it a person?
Yeah. I'm going to show you Nunchuck Tyler because he gave me an idea for another one of these apps. Hold on here. Present. Share screen.
Putting it up on
Tyler. Share. Here we go. Let's see how do I get sound out of there.
It looks like the other one.
Yeah, you're sharing my screen, I think.
Oh man.
I took it off.
Yeah.
And
Your screen.
here.
We want my screen. Add to stage. Hold on. Here we go. Maybe.
Coming up.
There it is. There's Nunchuck Tyler. But I need sound. How do I get sound out? Maybe I won't do it while I'm on. Oh.
Living life to the fullest. Oh, yeah. Going on hikes, swinging nunchucks around. Swinging nunchucks, going on hikes because life is so awesome. Yes, it is. Yeah. Peace out, my friends.
Nunchuck Tyler.
What's up, my friends? I hope you're.
So Nunchuck Tyler, I want to take that. He sings at most of his end of his videos, and he's like Nunchuck Tyler, making you feel good, something, and that's always like it makes me smile. So I want to build a website like Bryce just did. I want to build an app/website, and AI could do this. I'm going to do it. What it is, it's going to take. You can take any clip from there, pull out that voice segment, layer on a beat to match it, tell it to like make it in Beastie Boys beat version, and the chorus with the girl singing the Nunchuck Tyler theme song. And not just can you make that song, but you could make an app that could make anybody's video on Instagram to make a song out of. Like there's just a bazillion ideas out there that you can do now because AI enables you. That's what I'm trying to get to. You could do this. I might have time to do it. I doubt I do, but I would love to.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of like kind of branching off the different things that are possible. I mean, remember way back we were talking about, I told you guys about Udeo, and now there's like Udeo and Suno are the two big ones that you can describe the song you want. You can go over to GPT or whatever if you want first, or Gemini, and get lyrics, and then you can hand it in, and then you can say, make me a song, tell it the genre, tell it the different. And nowadays there's more different kinds of editing and piecing together you can do, and you have like indistinguishable from something you would hear on the radio.
That's what I mean. Right. That exists, but then to be able to make it so that you can take it one button clicks, hey, I want this Instagram video to be made into a song that sounds like Johnny Cash.
It's mixing and take the different mixing the different ideas and sounds together and everything like that. So
there's a bazillion things to do with this AI stuff.
John, I have a question. What this really is like set my brain off on is that like the traditional SaaS landscape, software as a service is for people, is that like, where does it fit in now? If you're a legacy SaaS company, it seems like maybe you're in trouble. Maybe you can integrate AI, or maybe there's a time period where the SaaS companies do really well, and then it all gets collapsed, and there is no more need for SaaS. Like, but then you have like the new AI native type apps like Udeo and others. And
I think you better be ready to pivot. There's got to be lots of pivots in there, and they think that a big part of that's going to be agents. Another part's going to be like what are they called, MCP servers. The thing from Anthropic that lets you it's the new API, kind of you wrap it around your stuff, and now agents can come along and make use of all of your capabilities in whatever way is best for what they're going off and doing. Now you got to introduce, well, how are we going to, monetize, what's going to meter that? But basically you're setting it up that it's like, hey, I always fall back to Salesforce because they're, the kind of the first SaaS or something. But like think of like, okay, whatever Salesforce does or whatever HubSpot does or whatever you take like that and go, everything else out there that could make use of that capability could now do so like via this like English conversation kind of collaboration thing where it's like, hey, I needed to do this, but that and so forth. It's like, oh yeah, don't worry, we can make that happen. And now the program goes away.
Yeah.
Right. The coding that was needed to in advance determine what everything was going to be isn't needed.
That's why Bryce and I are pretty sure that Windows operating system is more threatened than Google search. And look, you're not going to search Google the way you do right now. In 5 years, that'll be different. But the Google still has 17 billion users a day. Searches, not users.
No, well, that'd be amazing. Yeah. Searches. Yeah.
A lot of aliens. 17 billion searches a day. And even if you cut that in half, that's 8.5 billion AI interactions a day in 2 or 3 years. And it's not going to get cut in half anyway, but you're going to be interacting with your search history, what your interests are, everything that Google on Android and YouTube and search knows about you as an individual user will be integrated into your AI. Whereas like Windows, are you really going to need to sit in front of a Windows machine anymore in 3 or 4 years?
I don't know. We can talk about the device thing coming up next, but like you're talking about searches, I could talk about API calls and say, how many of those you think there are a day from all these different SaaS companies? And I'd say easily over 1 trillion.
Yeah.
Several, it's in the trillions per day. There's lots that, like in terms of devices, but there's this talk about that I know no one's in love with, OpenAI and some of the things they go and do, but they went and made this acquisition of the company that Johnny Ives had started, who invented the iPhone, basically,
that might be overstating it a little bit.
From a standpoint of user interaction design. Okay. He's the guy, not just the iPhone, but multiple devices. But still, when they go into
most of which suck as an interface.
The iPhone sucks.
All of Ives' good stuff happened while he worked for Steve Jobs, but I totally hijacked that conversation. Go back, OpenAI bought.
No, you're right. So this is I similarly am like not that enthusiastic, because what I hear so far with the new thing, the acquisition that they have, and what's this little device that they'll make or whatever, it's sounding like the AI pin that failed.
Yeah.
And so like they better think of something new. But I did hear one thing was something like, ambient intelligence or something, which is kind of like it knowing what's going on around it. Like, where am I right now? And what's happening around me, and how can that get contributed to? And that gets to, if you think about the Mac and then the iPhone and so forth, it affected a lot of how you live your life, minute to minute, how you carry out things that you do. You're going to pull out your phone, not because you're going to make a call, because 90% of what you do with your phone is not call, and you do whatever you do, but it got into people's lives. And if they come up with something that for some new reason, and it isn't just what's the input and output, but it's like, let's say it has to do with really good tracking of memory of the ambient, this and that, and be able to put together, for people, hey, do you realize you're spending more time on this, or you said you were going to do that, or so-and-so sounded like they were angry at you. Or you said you wanted to live your life.
I think, but even as you're listing some of the things that you're picturing, that's the point, right? There's a billion things that people are going to realize you can do with AI if it's aware. If you have if you create the platform that has awareness with you physically as you walk around and do different things in different places.
Yes.
There will be a zillion applications and services and ideas and things built on top of it.
I think it's another thing. I think absolutely awareness. And to go with that is this aspect of it's not just aware, but like it isn't today. And then it gets that awareness, sort of artificial consciousness, but it is aware on your behalf in ways that you're not aware. Right. And it's a guide for you. Yeah. So that's a thing where if you get awareness and a guide, now you have something that's okay, whole new interface. Yeah. You know, that's where you might see something really interesting.
Google at their I/O conference said they're working on 3 Ps: powerful, personal, and proactive. And so it's like they've got the powerful things sort of down, very good models now. And they're working on personalizing it to you. So it has context, your search history, your calendar, your email.
If you're an early adopter and soon, you know, in 6 months or a year, everybody using Gemini will have access to that. But
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they just now rolled it out. And then the proactive thing is like, if it has, so I think it's sort of what you're saying, John. If it has access to your calendar and it knows you have X meeting coming up, it can start to suggest things a week out and be like, hey, you got this meeting coming up with John next week. You're going to talk about AI. We need to make an agenda for that, get it over to the group, blah, 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 right? And so then it starts, you're like, okay, yeah, cool. Now so let's work through that, get it sent out on time. I mean, I don't think that is that far away with the existing form factors, computers and phones.
Yeah, I don't intuitively, I don't know if those 3 like cover it. They're all good. Yeah. The proactive one, I've been so disappointed so often by all these companies when they're like, do you want me to do this for you? And it's like, no, and don't ask me. It's stupid.
Right.
It's like, so there's a get on there. Like it does that. Sometimes it sort of seems like the technology is showing off what it can do versus actually, but maybe the personalized side of that will get help.
Yeah, Bryce turned on in his Gemini beta testing capacity that he wants it to have access to a search history. And then he said, what's my favorite restaurant? And it was close.
Yeah.
It's your second favorite restaurant, I would think. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't, like, the one you search the most is not necessarily your favorite restaurant. Like the one it thought was my favorite is like a burrito place that I go to like in the mornings, which is not necessarily my favorite restaurant. But I do Google that a lot because I need to find their phone number and call them.
But that's also indicative of how it's not really that smart yet, but it's going to learn how to actually nuance itself to the point where it's like your favorite restaurant is Double Eagle.
Right.
Like I use mostly Anthropic for coding. And I also just use like GPT in general for things. And on the GPT side, and sometimes I use the GPT, whatever they call that, real voice, the good voice one, and have good conversations and like create new software, by ideas of some back and forth and everything. And right now it is bad at a lot of things. And as I notice things it lacks, I do stuff like, hey, every time I talk to you, I'm going to tell you what day and time it is, because I want in your storage of stuff for you to start to get an idea of how much time has passed and what took place and kind of know some of this. Because it doesn't think that way, but it could, and the system that's built around it. That's why I use the term, like artificial consciousness. It's not like we have to wait for AGI. Oh, the thing all of a sudden understands all whatever. It's more like if it can act like it is somebody who knows how much time has passed and what things are worth remembering and, when to bring up certain topics and so forth. And one more example, yesterday I had there's lots and working with pretty complex technology, and there's a piece of it that somebody else did, and I didn't realize how deep they had gone. And I was like, I just wanted to make note of the fact that I don't know much about that aspect right now. So I said, hey, remember that I want to go learn this thing. And then I said, let me take that a step further, make a like a skill ladder of somewhere between 5 and 10 like levels from I never heard of it to I've heard of it. I basically know what it is. I could code it myself, all the like in there. And it, with 1 or 2 back and forths, made a nice little thing out of that. And I was able to go send it out to my boss and say, I don't know this one, but I want to learn that one, but I'm going to learn them against this ladder. And he was like, that's fucking awesome. No, sorry. I think I ruined the, we just got knocked out. No, you can say what you want. But that was what, so it was good, that combination.
Yeah. That's, again, another example of how rudimentary this stuff still really is, but that we can all see the potential. And I think from an investment perspective, by the way, again, it's amazing just how aware Wall Street is of how amazing the potential for this is, but how I think that part of what Wall Street wants to do is find non-Mag 7 names. They want it to be something besides Google, Amazon, Meta, Tesla, NVIDIA that win this revolution. And there will be plenty of other winners. It's sort of like, Duolingo or Spotify are huge winners for their investors, and they're built on the smartphone revolution. And so it's not like there won't be those, but it does seem pretty clear that the fundamental pieces, the technology itself, the platforms upon which most all of this AI is going to be built, and then eventually the robots on top of it, are going to be the companies that have tens of billions of dollars to invest in the infrastructure. And those are the biggest, 7 or 8 mega cap tech companies on the planet.
Well, we talked about that, I think, the last time we were together, where, yes, that's true, but it's not the only thing that matters, right? Because there was like them being there as the platforms. There's already in the previous kind of technology revolution, you had the platforms. Think of like AWS, and it certainly matters. It's certainly one of the big pieces in there. But then you had all the stuff running on top of it. And even with these being the big players, there's going to be a layer of the things running on top of it.
That's what I'm saying. The Duolingos and Spotifys. It's not exclusive to these ones, but they are the most obvious fundamental platforms upon which it gets built. And historically, that's been my best investment. My best investments have always been technological platforms.
Yeah, I think there's another thing in between the Spotifys and the platform there, which is itself a platform, because the stuff you name are like vertical point solutions that, when you say a Spotify or something, but like, to think if I could think of an example, if it's not really going to be, but if there's like a character AI or something.
What about like Tencent and its WeChat super app platform?
Yeah, definitely.
So
yeah.
it
X
becomes its own platform built on top of the smartphone.
If X were to, now setting aside that X has XAI, and so they sort of are one of those, but X by itself, even if X were to do the WeChat type thing, which they talk about, like we're just going to broaden out to having, purchasing in here and all this other, buying products and doing all kinds of things. And it becomes this like new environment for the stuff to happen. So some of them happen within those platform companies, but I think that it's not necessarily.
But again, that's where I get so bullish overall with all of this. And, you got to sort of balance the geopolitical, you got to balance the national politics and tariffs and non-tariffs and flip-flopping and confidence and consumer and everything else. But it sure feels like there's this fundamental pull from AI in the economy right now that's pulling the economy forward. And
so on that point, not sort of in the direction very slightly of politics, whatever, is infrastructure, right? So power, are we going to have enough power to do what we're talking about? Because these data centers, you need power, and then you need chips, and then you need power to run the chips. And we're like, I saw an interesting, graph that showed, what's been the demand on power over the last several decades and so forth, and how that we haven't built up much, and how even if we go to do the building up, the time it takes to get anything new in place. And if this stuff does end up really, if there's a relationship there where, you'd like to have all this growth, but it's going to need this power underneath it for it to happen, then it raises some questions about how that happens.
I got zero concerns about it. I think number one, the fundamental march towards more efficiency, i.e. DeepSeek, and what they revealed, how you can do a more efficient technology, AI platform underneath it all. I think that continues to happen. They figure out how to make the AI inferencing exponentially more efficient. It's going to get to the point where it immediately doesn't even bother processing question marks or pleases and thank yous, and the type of waste that happens when it's trying to dialogue and having to process extra pronouns and stuff. That stuff, and I don't mean he, she, they.
So you think it keeps up in that respect?
I think, and then on top of that, energy is such a commodity. Solar is dropping so quickly in its costs, and it works out. I'm not worried about the energy thing. I don't own any of the energy infrastructure stocks, and I have no interest in owning them, even though I know there is going to be exponentially growing demand for energy. But that growth in demand for energy is more like, instead of being like with the economy 1% to 2% per year, it's going to be like 4 or 5% per year.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, AI growth itself is going to be 100 to 50 to 100, then 50, then 30% per year for many years to come. And so, I would arbitrage almost my skepticism around energy versus my excitement about AI itself.
Yeah. So the things that there on the stuff you just said, I agree with you that or I've heard also about, solar is the one that could happen quickly, even if you're waiting around for, some nuclear plant or something else. It's like solar, is ready to fill the gap if people were just to go and need to go rely on something like that. But I'll tell you another thing that just happened this week is something from Microsoft I think it's called Wini, WINI. And it's a technology that they created and open sourced, and others can go and use it. That you talk along the lines of the DeepSeek efficiency thing. What it does is it makes the large language model work a little more like the brain in terms of, like if you watch a brain thinking, it's like just very limited places within the brain at any given moment it goes around and does. Whereas right now, the analogy was you light up the whole block full of skyscrapers to find out where the stapler is.
Exactly. No, that's a great analogy, John. Exactly. And that's what I'm talking about. In the current model of AI inference and how it works, there's an incredible amount of inefficiency. You need Doge to go in and attack the data center AI platform to get rid of the fraud, waste, and there's not that much fraud.
No, but it's great progress.
There's just a lot of waste and inefficiency in those LLMs and all of the frontier models right now. But that's because they're frontier. They're brand new. This is all happening in real time. But give it some time for those engineers and AI itself to be like, hey, here's how we can get more efficient. Let's fix this. We can do these agents and not those agents. We can light up just that office and not the entire neighborhood. All of that is coming. I don't question that AI will be cost effective. I do think that energy prices will, go up slowly but surely, probably slightly faster than inflation overall. But that's the other thing about AI is it's truly such a deflationary technology, and if it plays out as quickly as it looks like it's starting to in the US, impacting services industries like attorneys, accounting, financial services, software coding, it quickly becomes deflationary, and even the Republican Democrat regime is not going to be able to pilfer all of that growth and efficiency and productivity enhancing stuff that's going to happen in the economy. It'll take them
Can't keep up.
several years
Yeah.
to catch on, and hopefully we'll be so much more efficient by then. Maybe even people will realize you shouldn't vote for Republicans and Democrats because they always pilfer everything.
I hope your book covers somehow the way that all this stuff we're talking about is happening like in layers. You know, there's this part down here where the foundation models and everything, you know, the advances happening with those. Then there's the apps and things happening there, and then you've got like the people working with the stuff and how they're able to do more, kind of like it's happening just at all these different levels.
And then also the other thought that Bryce and I have been trying to visualize better is it happens here in the US first because we're a services-based economy, but it quickly turns into, you know, the AI enables the robotics, and the humanoid robotics enable incredible revolution in labor and blue collar labor and manual labor. What was formerly called manual labor, I guess we'll call it robotic labor from now on. And that was trying to be sort of funny there, like not manual labor, it's robotics labor, because we're not using human beings. Manual means humans.
It doesn't.
What does manual mean?
I think it means hand.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
but it's close.
We get a manicure. Yeah.
So,
yeah, you're right. Meaning done with the hands. So it's still, those robots are going to have hands. So it's still manual labor. Point being, I shouldn't have hijacked my own conversation there. It is happening, and it's going to happen in phases. And then, of course, the robotics revolution, we're going to be sending Optimus robots to Mars and to the moon. And so the robotics revolution actually enables the space revolution. And so
I'm glad he's finally listening to me. Elon's finally listening to me about that, because whenever he's been talking about going to Mars, I said, you know, I'm not going until the place is already all set up by robots, and you know, it's just ready, it's comfortable by the time I get there.
John Deo, you're the only person who thought of that, John.
I'm not the only one, but I did invent it.
I will go to Mars.
Maybe 1954. Isaac Asimov, 1947.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
Yeah.
but you're 100 years late.
They also invented it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll go to Mars. I think when they have McDonald's. I think that's.
I thought that's what it was going to say was your favorite restaurant.
I do like some McDonald's. Breakfast is hard to get sometimes. But I think that we're in the infrastructure build out phase of AI, and that's why we like the big companies. But I think in the next 5 years, you are going to have some probably really exciting opportunities to invest in some of the app layer companies once we kind of know what those are. But I don't know that those companies are even publicly traded yet. Like, you know, so many of them are still in startup phase, and private money is there to back them a long ways before they really need to come public.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, Netflix is another company that we could consider an app company built on top of the smartphone / smart TV, iPad revolution. It's built on top of the app revolution, let's call it. But it's also going to be a major beneficiary of the AI revolution and making personalized movies and tailored content and prompt.
Yeah, have you seen some of the latest from Google VO? Is it VO3 or whatever? You know, there's a video that shows, you know, a lot of man on the street interviews and, you know, all the stuff going on. It's like nothing in this whole video is real.
No.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be. But I think that just doesn't that unlock creatives? Like, if you have a creative mind and you're like they even interviewed some filmmakers at the I/O event, and they were talking to these guys, and they're like, man, I have these ideas for what I want to put in film, but there's not a really good way to do that in the real world. I mean, you have to do it with CGI and stuff. And now with these new video models, they can just do it so much faster. It's limitless on what they can build.
And I think, you'll find that a lot of those people have no talent. They think they do, and then they go to make something and it's going to not be at that same level. But there'll be some who do.
Many, and there'll be many people who haven't made movies who are actually geniuses in making movies with AI.
Yeah.
And the only reason they get the opportunity is because they have a VO. Is it VEO? VEO?
I say VO, but I think,
Yeah,
some people will make this stuff out of like nunchuck songs, and others will do,
Yeah.
good stuff. But oh no,
Tyler is good stuff.
no, I did smile also when I saw it.
Now you're going to make me pull up another one.
No,
Yeah.
that wasn't me.
John, can you explain quickly while Cody's doing that what the model context protocol is? Technically.
It's an API for agents.
Okay. Makes sense.
But instead of it being like APIs today, you have to code every different thing that you want it to do.
For all eternity. Nunchuck Tyler wants to make your day better when your day was
You shouldn't
bad.
talk trash about my boy.
Nunchuck
I'll just keep
Tyler
playing
says he'll make your
Nunchuck
day
Tyler's the rest of the
better
call, dude.
if your day was
I'm not
bad.
scared.
If you are sad. Nunchuck
Yeah, he just is proof of the long tail.
no matter when.
I'm really
No
interested.
matter whenever, yeah. Nunchuck Tyler will always be there. As long as you're looking for him, he'll be right by you to make you happy when you are sad, to bring you up when you are down. Nunchuck Tyler and his nunchucks of fury will come to save you in any extreme situation because Nunchuck Tyler is the man. Nunchuck Tyler wants to be your friend.
What was that movie? Not Badass, but something like that. With the superhero, the teenager was like a superhero.
Super bad.
Super bad, yeah. He's kind of got that vibe.
Yeah, maybe. I've never seen the movie.
Yeah,
I quite like. I'm quite enamored with Nunchuck.
Bryce, I forgot what you asked, but
No, you answered it. Model context protocol really.
oh, it's so like, except it's not exactly like that. It is for like getting something to work with the kind of capability of something else, which the API stuff does.
Mhm.
But what's better is it's like that with an LLM on the server side of it, so that whatever's asking for stuff can be like negotiating for what it needs to accomplish. And that thing is like, well, I understand what all my capabilities are, and I'm going to be able to feed back to you, that happening. So yeah, it's like sets it up for agents to be able to use and all the other software out there.
So agents can talk to agents, right? I mean, that's essentially.
Yeah, but I just think agents can talk to all the software that's out there because it's on the resource side.
Okay.
As opposed to it itself necessarily being an agent, but
So you think the SaaS apps that have some kind of, I think there's some SaaS apps that are just UI layers on basic things that probably aren't that helpful. But like the SaaS companies like Salesforce and others that have real value that's unique to their company, those still exist, and you'll just interact with them via agents.
Yeah, they have data, or they have connections to others and to their data, whatever. They have something that's kind of unique and useful about them.
Mhm.
Any SaaS is almost just like a set of APIs with a UI.
Right.
And now you've got that set of APIs being exposed to agents to make use of whatever that thing can do.
Yeah. I wrote a while back at some point, I was talking about like Excel, and there's like, you have Excel as a skill. You used to put that on your resume, and it like you don't really
word.
Yeah, you don't really need to. I think in the future you won't really need to know the intricacies of Excel and all the little formulas and how to manipulate data, right? You'll just have your agent. You'll tell it the outcome you want and let the agent do that.
I think it's valuable that what can be done with Excel, so that what you tell the agent you want it to go do for you. And that's the thing about coding as well. It's why like I might be able to like vibe code more stuff than you, is because I know not just
speak for yourself, John. You come to the deal next week with your own Google app you vibe coded, and then we'll compare apples to apples.
You are correct. Like my whole job is vibe coding in a way, but but no, it's like, what are you able to know about what you want it to go and do? If you're like, hey, can you make me a web page and such, and you got it to do it, But
Right.
if you're like, can you make a dictionary with fractal embeddings of such and such, where the index on this gets used to do the recombinant this of that and whatever? It's like you got to know what the stuff is in order to be able to ask for it. So,
Isn't most of life vibe coding?
isn't it though?
Like acting, you're vibe coding. Hedge funding, you're vibe coding. When you're coding these days, you're literally vibe coding.
It's jazz. It's all jazz.
It's all jazz. There are no bad notes.
I saw this thing. I'm going to relate it back. It's just this video I saw. This guy, I don't know how he's semi-famous or whatever, but people were like, "Oh, you got so and so to come," and he got in front of an orchestra, and in a matter of 6 or 8 minutes, he invented a song with them, where he was going each section of the orchestra. I want you guys to play this, and if I go like this, it's get out of tune with it, and then come back in tune with it, and you go do this, and you go do that. And by the end of it, it's like with his hands, with the people sitting there, he's going like this, and it's really resulting in real music. And I was like, holy crap! But here how connected is. The AI is that for us.
Yes.
It's like it's here to let us do whatever, and if we know how to be creative, we can go make that happen.
I think that's final words for the today.
It's always his way of shutting me up.
Well, I got to go do some writing about how AI enables robotics, which enables space, so that we can put it in our monthly fact sheet. So I got shit to do, man.
Yeah, love it. Good stuff. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you, Johnny. We'll be here next week. By the way, we use DeepSeek in China, and it was slow. They don't have enough inference capacity, it sure did seem like. And about half the time we tried to use ChatGPT, it was blocked.
You were in Hong Kong?
Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And then Taiwan, which is open and free internet. Not free internet, but internet that is full of freedom.
You got back on GPT, but not on DeepSeek.
That I did not use. I would not use DeepSeek in the United States either. So I don't want any of that on my phone or computer. Do you use DeepSeek, John?
I do not use DeepSeek. I'm not against using DeepSeek if I put it in the right air-gapped environment.
Exactly. If you're on a VPN on a secure server inside of a crypto wallet.
Right.
Oh, I did see Mission Impossible. It does cover that topic. So
I don't know why you would do that. Why would you even if you
Bryce,
watched Mission Impossible to come on
Cody,
and tell us?
Hey Bryce, it was good. It was good. Good action.
Yeah,
I've never seen a
I was
Mission
gonna say
Impossible.
Was
Wow.
it like the Google thing where it has like your personal search history? It may be a little uncomfortable, but then you realize, well, Google already has all that information about you, right? So let's, I guess, leverage the AI to make it more useful.
I don't know what to call that, but we are basically saying like, all right, I give in. You already stripped me of everything.
I gotta say, hold on.
Real quick to finish the point, it's another layer of losing your privacy when you're like, okay, let's take my search history and give it to a whole nother company that's going to do something with it. You're at least just keep it inside of Google where it's already in.
You know, Palantir, Donald Trump, Mr. Deep State himself brought Palantir in to basically consolidate all of the various databases, profiles of you and your social security number. And all of the formerly freedom-loving, anti-surveillance, conspiracy theorist MAGA people are like, no, it's fine. They already have that info. It's nothing new. That I actually disagree with.
Right.
With you on the Google thing, if you keep it inside of Gemini, you're literally, it's costing nothing. Google already knows it. You're actually leveraging something to make your life better inside of a private company's database.
Right.
I know it's staying inside of Gemini.
Surveillance from Palantir and Mr. Deep State himself, Donald Trump, giving them access to all of their information to consolidate and know everything about each of us.
How do you know it's staying inside of Gemini? They got sued before about the leakage of their data, about their incognito stuff, just getting them taking it out and keeping it when they said they weren't, and they lost, right? So I don't know how you're
still inside
saying,
of
like,
Google. That was that example you just gave was still inside of Google.
Okay. All right, Cody. Good for you.
Yeah. I'm glad we don't own Palantir, Bryce, because I would have a hard time still owning it after they won that contract.
And we'll see if they can actually pull that off too. That sounds like
just the premise that they're supposed to is enough to piss me off to no end. And what makes it worse is Republicans are always like sunshine free marketers. They're like sunshine anti-surveillance. They want small government until their people are putting in the big government. And they're like, no, it's fine. It's fine. We should have lots of tariffs because that's like freedom or something.
There's no such thing as Republicans. Aren't they all Republicrats and Democans? And
yeah, there you go. It is just one
big
happy family over there. Yeah. Anyway, that was we turned political and we were trying to leave on a positive note.
Thanks for the rant, though. Yeah.
Power to the people. Yay, rainbows and sunshine. Love you all. See you next Monday.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.